much. So like I was saying, I said I'm so happy to have you guys here. For those of us that have joined us in the community, we are already introducing ourselves, connecting, networking, making friends, and planning for the future. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Frances Aborigo, founder of Shimerge International. Yes, and also the host of Shinovate Africa Conference. I'm very glad to have you guys here, especially ladies, African from every part of Africa. I've seen people all the way from the US, Sweden, and Germany, and even extended into the United Kingdom. I am so happy to have you all here. So the goal of this event or this conference is to get you to connect with one another and build a future. So a brief into what we have. Shimerge International was founded to help moms that have had issues or maybe had to transition from one career to another or had a break in their career. So there was a particular time they were working so well and a particular time due to marriage, childbirth, or migration. Shinovate Africa came about because while these women were trying to get back into their career, they have started thinking of working remotely, having to earn their living and build a future for themselves. So while they're doing so, they really have to get something doing. Both skills, soft skills, transferable skills. We all have a dream. So the Shinovate Africa Conference is here to bring about this change. We want the future of Africa not to be dependent on those who are able to go out to work, but dependent on everybody that has the ability and the skills to build a future for her. So every single woman here is very important to me. Why? Because I know that if one of you take the charge or take the responsibility to make a change in her tiny little community, the future of Africa is certain. Now, we are going to be looking at various topics. I'm going to get into that much later, but right now, for introduction, I have mentioned that Shimerge International was founded to help women to transition into tech, build a career for themselves, even maximize the digital economy and all the emerging technology to build a future for themselves. So the very, very best thing we could do for them is to get them all into a community and give them as much support and resources they need. Just like a mom, I'm a mom of three and I reside in Nigeria, so I know what it's like to be in Africa and live under the government that controls the system. You understand? So, with this said, I know that I had experienced a lot being a mom and getting into the system, getting to stop work, civil service, taking that break, having my children, getting back to work again, and now being an employer of service and also working remotely. I've seen the privilege I've enjoyed, and I see a lot of women experiencing the same thing I struggled with in the past. So and we created a platform to help them to come together, learn, network with each other, build, and as many times as possible, we give them all the things that they need to be better. Okay, so as it is right now, Shinovate Africa Conference is set to help women work together, use the resources available on the internet or even extended outside the internet to create a future for Africa. Now we are taking the responsibility into our hands to make the world we live in more comfortable. So I'm not saying because I'm a woman, I cannot do some certain things because I'm not a Texas. Now I've gone beyond Texas. I'm a tech mama, you understand. By age, there are some certain things you might think that um you cannot enjoy because okay, you cannot enjoy because you're now married, you have kids, you have to pay attention to them, or you have a lot of setback. But that's not true because I have seen the changes, I've seen the difference it makes when I take action for myself. Then also with us here are wonderful women that had gone through this transition. They have done something for themselves. So if you see the lineup of speakers we have, you know that indeed you're in for something big. I'm coming here to share with you guys. Today is not my day, it's not my day of telling my story. I'm going to withdraw and set the stage for these wonderful women. So today, being the very first day of Shinovate Africa Conference, we are going to be listening to two wonderful women. Honestly, I can't wait to hear from them. We are listening to the first speaker, Iklima, Musa Salihu. She is coming from NITDA. So if you really want to know anything about NITDA, it's about time you ask your questions when she shares her own part of her own learning curve, and all the charge she has for you to take action for yourself. Okay, so there's a whole lot you're going to get. This is just the first day. This is just the first few minutes. By 7:15, we're going to be listening to the first speaker, and after which we're going to be listening to we're going to be hearing from our keynote speaker, Caroline Brand. I respect her so much. She's not young, she's not a baby, she's not a girl. She has seen it almost everything that you need to know. And if you check out her profile on LinkedIn and also Iklima, Musa Saliu, you will see that these women have done something that is worth noting. And it's time you sit back, bring out your jotter, bring out your recording material, bring out your pen, paper, or whatever makes you accountable to take record of what's going on. Learn from these women, ask questions when it is time. We don't have so much time to spend tonight. Trust me, a lot of us had to spend time through the day. I'm a mom, I understand what it is, bedtime, school, there's school tomorrow. So we're not going to take your time for too long. If you can give me just these 2 hours, that's maximum. We must not necessarily spend up to that 2 hours. Then if you give us these 2 hours, trust me, you're building a big future for yourself outside of here. So with this said, I hope I've officially welcomed you all to She Innovates Africa Conference, and I look forward to getting to know about you. I want a certain time where I will look back to this time and I say, this relationship, this innovation started or were birthed from She Innovates Africa Conference because they met there and they decided to do something for themselves. So to shock you all a bit, so I know that so many people are joining us from here, from various places, both those that are actually my students, or those that have always been in the community, or those that are meeting me for the very first time. I understand, but one thing I know is that the future is not selective. The future is for the future, for those that are taking action right now. And one good thing I know is that collaboration is the best competition ever. So collaboration is the new competition. That's just the word. So don't sit down and envy who has been successful, but find a way to work with that same person to build that future you want to see in Africa. You can use the tiniest discomfort you have in your life right now to make changes for the future. So let's think about it. What can I change for now? What can I build? What can I start with? It might just be to help new moms, might just be to create something to make life easier for my neighbor. And at the end of the day, you find out that you're helping millions of people, not only in Africa, but the world in general. And what does that mean to you? So when you look at someone like Elon Musk, because for those that are very close to me, my students, you know that I've been mentioning that name quite a lot lately. It's not because he's the only innovator in the world. No, but because he's actually a disruptor. And I like his mode of going about it. He does it in his own kind of way. He doesn't care who's else is God or like that. But he's not like that. He does his thing and he keeps his focus, even though he plays and know everything about him. But one thing is unshaken about him is his focus to bring about change, disrupt the system, and make things even better. Because if there is never an overhauling, trust me, there will never be a new thing. Before there is a mountain, there is this eruption. There are always an eruption. So allow that eruption to happen inside of you, or be that eruption that will happen in your environment that will bring about a new system. Remember what happened to us. I am not excited about what COVID did to us, but at the end of the day, we became a news generation after COVID lockdown. You understand? Lives were lost, things went bad, but at the end, we came out better. You understand me? So more moms have this privilege. If you go on LinkedIn or maybe somewhere on my account to read my story, you see how I started. There were times I was alone at home. I was handling my twin boys and I didn't have any nanny. It's not like I have anyone yet. I had to do this while I was earning from home. I had to do a lot of put myself through a lot of discomfort. There are sometimes I had to handle some projects overnight, then sleep in the morning when they're off to school. These are things, sacrifices we make for the future we want to build. and ready to take that, I know you're ready to take from the lessons you learned. So I've taken a little minute into the speakers, our speakers' time, and getting back to let our first speaker, Iklima Musa Saliu, to take the stage right now. And thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you so much, She Emerge, for the kind invitation. It is a pleasure and truly an honor for me to be here today to speak about the digital opportunities that exist for African women in today's world. I'm very happy to share this, and good evening from this side of the world. And so to start with, as a way of an introduction, my name is Iklima Musa, and I am the SC to the DG of the National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, on strategy and innovation. And lately, I have been working around bridging the gap between men and women that persistently exist within the digital space and the digital economy. And so I think we should really have an understanding of what the digital economy is and what digital technology is. So as a way of a background to that is that digital technology or digital economy is just that aspect of the economy that is being, generated based on the billions of transactions that we all make online. And so to speak of NIDA, NIDA is one of the agencies, or is the apex agency in Nigeria that develops and regulates IT in the country. And specifically in its mandate, it is to ensure the empowerment of all Nigerian citizens with information technology. This includes the marginalized communities, the women, people living with disability, and those in the rural areas. And so there exist a lot of foundational documents that have set clear direction for digital transformation in Nigeria. One of such documents is the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria, which was launched on 28th of November 2019. And just of recent, with the coming of our minister, Dr. Bosun Tijani, he also came up with another document called Accelerating Our Collective Prosperity, which is a strategic blueprint for developing the digital economy as well. This was launched in October 2023. And so in line with that, even though over the years, the agency has been implementing so many initiatives and activities that are geared towards the development of women and girls in the country, we're trying to revision ourselves, of which a key aspect of the strategic blueprint is for us to ensure that 40% of women have access to digital technologies and have the relevant skills for them to thrive within the digital space. So in fulfillment of these national goals towards female inclusion in Nigeria, we have taken many steps to drive our nation's prosperity by boosting digital innovation for Nigerian women, creating an enabling environment that maximizes their potential, protecting and promoting their ability to contribute to the economy, and as well as ensuring that there is this improved quality of life and well-being in line with the SDG goal number 5 on gender equality, gender equity. So if you look at the opportunities that exist, you would see that there are so many opportunities as well as so many barriers that is not letting women participate within the digital ecosystem. And so to understand it better, I think we can be able to look at what those barriers are and what it means and how we can be able to, narrow the persistent gap that we know that already exists between men and women within the digital economy. So one of those things that primarily stops women from participating is not having access to the gadget or the digital device. And another one is not having access to internet. But over the years, what we have seen with the broadband plan that has been put in place from 2019, that there is a significant growth of the broadband penetration in the country that has improved to over 45% in 2023. Even though with that, this is still a problem because a lot of people do not have access and cannot afford internet services, and is necessary to build skills to participate within the digital society. Another barrier to women's participation is financial, cultural, gender, and geographic exclusion of women that happens that is stopping them from contributing beyond a national, contributing to the national GDP. And it is also realized, according to the Council for Foreign Relations, that if Nigeria is able to bring women into parity with men, especially with the population that we have that has been mentioned by World Economic Forum, that women have a population of 104 million, which is almost 50%, 50-50 between women and men in the country, that we will be able to harness $229 million between now and 2025. That statistics takes a lot of weight, and it means that women's participation is very key to national development and prosperity. So another aspect is that our parents, from whom our parents are teachers, the community itself is a hindrance to the participation of women in STEM. And we have seen also by some statistics that have been put in place by the Center for Information Technology and Development, that till today, 61% of Nigerian fathers still discourage their children from using the internet, which ironically means that male children have more access or are frequently encouraged to pursue educations and jobs in the ICT sector compared to the girl child. I think I talked about the STEM education. There is also the severe lack of female teachers. We do not have a lot of coaches within the, female innovation and digital economy ecosystem. We do not have a lot of role models that our girls would look up to and say, oh, this is a role model to me. I want to be like this person one day, and I want to study IT, or I want to be a cybersecurity expert, and all that. And these things are very much reinforced every day in every aspect of our lives. For instance, when you're watching a movie, typically you would see a guy seated in a hoodie and is trying to hack, or he's trying to do one or two things, using his system. And you don't see a woman doing that. That is a huge barrier that stops women from participating, or even understanding that as a woman, I can be able to thrive within this space. So a lot has been mentioned. And another thing also is that what is stopping women, again, from participating in this is the barriers and the biases that happens in terms of inclusion, which also stems from family, parental control, or spousal control over women and girls. And this stems from cultural and religious worries that immoral practices could be picked up from the internet. So the internet, with this understanding, then understand that the internet has to be safe for women. Now, some of the opportunities, speaking of it, that exist in Nigeria, as well as Africa, is the fact that, we have the population, like I said, of 104 million, which is a huge, opportunity for us. And it's quite a big comparative advantage for Nigeria compared to other countries, that do not have that level of women within the country, or the population of women within the country. Now, we all know that Nigeria is like a hotbed of innovation activities. And we know that it's large. It has innovation activity, the largest innovation activity in Africa, and it's a growing market. We have access to capital, Our entrepreneurial ecosystem and culture is strong. We have the talent. Nigerians are naturally talented. We also have some supporting government policies that is helping us today. One of those policies that is being championed by my agency, which is NIDA, is the Nigerian Startup Act, which is typically a legal and institutional framework that helps develop and establish startups in the country by giving them access to incentives, innovation hubs, giving them access to the right tools and enabling them for them to be able to thrive and create jobs for the people. So yes, entrepreneurship plays a crucial role in bolstering the digital gender equality and women's economic empowerment. We know that today in government, the government has been putting out a lot of affirmative actions on women's participation. The current administration has already said that women, we need to have a participation of, I think it's 40% or 35%, which also has been stated in the digital economy sector that we want a 40% female participation in all of our programs. Again, there is the rising of smartphone adoption. We have the internet connectivity that is rising also. And today, as we speak, the African digital economy is currently valued at $115 billion, according to World Economic Forum. This has brought in a lot of advantage for us to be able to, take advantage of it and narrow the gap and bridge the gap that exists. Now, what are the impact of bridging this digital gender gap? And can we bridge this gender gap alone? Can the government just sit down and say, oh, I want to bridge it alone and I don't want to work with anybody? No, we need to work as family. We need to work as one, because development doesn't happen in silos. You need everybody to be able to contribute within the ecosystem. And that's why I highly commend the She Emerge and She Innovate initiative of bringing women and making us understand that these opportunities really does exist and we could take advantage of the opportunity in different aspects. So by increasing our participation in several sectors, Nigeria can be able to gain at least 20.8 trillion as estimated, beyond even what I talked about of the Council for Foreign Relations. And women can be able to champion events and programs for greater opportunity. It's going to increase women's confidence in pursuing STEM-related careers. So instead of women going for, let's say, psychology, nursing, what other course does a lot of women participate in? I think there are just some specific courses that are being seen as women-centric courses. That then has to change when we're able to bridge that gap, be able to narrow those issues that we have talked about. And you would find a lot of women now participating in electrical engineering. You see them in petroleum. You see them in every aspect of the economy. This is what we are preaching. We need to be able to address the barriers that hinder women from participating and benefiting from those kind of STEM jobs, including digital, which will put Nigeria on a better trajectory for rapid economic growth and development. So I would love to share a little bit of my story into how I started or how I found myself into tech, or being a tech expert or a tech strategist. Today, I create tech strategies for organizations. I build innovation ecosystems, and I felt that nothing would stop me from trying to also pull a lot of women into this aspect, because a lot of times you would find out that when you go for events, typically you don't even see women like that. I was in a conference this morning and there was a discussion that was happening around advanced technology, deep tech, which is like AI. Now, AI is growing exponentially. It has grown really fast. But how do we ensure that there is gender equity within the AI space, and that the algorithms that are developed are not gender biased for women? I think that's something to look at, because going forward, these things are going to occupy us. And it is also humans, it will be so intelligent to an extent that people become like pets of AI. Just like we have pets today, we humans will not be as intelligent as those technologies. And it means that it needs to favor us. Women need to be at the forefront of it. Women need to, whatever innovations it is that is coming to the table, has to be for women. And it has to, benefit us. Another example is that of the car seat. I think when the car seat was designed, I don't think anybody really factored in women into the system and the seat belt that we use every day. So we need to be able to push things like that. So when I was growing up, I didn't think that IT was for me. I thought that physiotherapy would be good, or would be a better choice for me, until I decided not to study in Nigeria. And the school I was going to really didn't have any medical course, which, I would have just gone for. And they had like technology, network technology, they had like software engineering, they had electrical electronics. And I was like, what would I do as a woman? Because I thought at the time that these things are not really a women thing. But I was like, okay, let me just go for network technology. And I started thinking, so how will I be climbing base stations around? How will I be going to troubleshoot the network, being a network engineer? It was a bit of, it was a bit tough for me. And surprisingly, when I started, the class didn't really have a lot of women. It's represented, women represented, representation in the class was just around 10% or 15%, which was quite low. And so I found it interesting because there was no much women in it. And I was like, okay, so what is it in this course that we cannot do? And at the end of the day, I think I beat a lot of the men. I really understood what it was. I was coding, I was configuring switches and routers, and stuff. And so what that means is that there is no limitation as to what you can do as a woman. And I think we should raise our children like that. Let's not raise them with the mindset of thinking that there is nothing that we can do. We will always have something to do. So looking at, going back to what I was saying, the efforts that the government or NITA has been doing in creating opportunities for women and girls in the country. One of it, like I said, is the target that has been set out by the ministry of achieving 40% female participation in all digital literacy and capacity building programs stemming from any of the agencies under the ministry. We also have the NAFSA program, the National Adopted Village for Smart Agriculture. We have the Youth Agri-Techpreneur Scheme, which have engaged more than 2,465 beneficiaries and has created more than 5,790 jobs. This is a huge opportunity for women to be able to tap into and harness. I am sure we all heard about the 3 million technical talent, which is loosely called the 3MTT program, that has created a buzz around the country. That program is going to also accommodate a lot of women. That's a program that will help build talent and create 1 million jobs within the digital economy sector between now and 2027. That's an opportunity for us to tap into. The agency has been creating some women-focused, targeted and focused capacity building training on ICT and entrepreneurship. And so far, we have conducted some programs on entrepreneurship for 560 women across the country. The implementation of these initiatives increases women's participation, knowledge, and use of business tools that can help promote their entrepreneurial and career pursuit, and will also increase their access to distance learning, work programs, and opportunities. Now, in a further bid for us to also make greater and sustained investment in women and girls, we've recently just collaborated with World Bank and are currently implementing a program called Gina Mata Gina Al Umma, which is like loosely translated as Build Up Women, Build Up the Community. This also ensures that women come into parity with men, because one of the issues that we understand is that all the problems that we have identified, the biases, the social-cultural income disparity, lack of safe online activities, they are all interrelated. But at the middle of it is digital literacy and skills, because women they are not aware enough and do not have the knowledge for them to be able to participate within the digital economy. That hinders them a lot from use and access of digital technologies. So I don't want to take so much of your time. This is just what we have, or what we have brought to the table today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was outstanding. At the point, I was like, "Why? I wish the time would not move. Like, let's be here because there are so many things in place for African women. There are so many things being built. There are so many things you get to discover if only you dig deeper." So now it's all time for you to ask your questions. I'm going to be throwing it open so you can answer your questions. Where do you find yourself in the growing digital economy? Where do you find yourself with emerging technology? Where do you find your future? From our conversation, from what you've heard now, what have you learned? What do you want to know? What are the things you want to take away? Because we really need to maximize this privilege. I'm not sure you're going to see her anytime soon in this platform. So maximize this time we have. We have a few more minutes to ask our questions. So if you have your own questions, you can put up your hand. Let's call you up or type it in the chat. Let's see you and what you have. Okay. So let's see. Okay, is Neka with us? If you can, please assist us with the questions. You can read out the questions and should respond. So if you can do that as quickly as possible, please. Okay, our second speaker is here. What am I not seeing in the chat? Okay. How did you overcome self-doubt? That's the first question I'm seeing on the screen right now. How did you overcome self-doubt?
I think it's postpartum depression.
Oh, okay. So should I take the questions one by one, or I should get more questions so that we can all address them?
Okay, let me read out. The first question says, how did you overcome self-doubt? And the second one says, okay, that is the same thing, imposter syndrome. Is there an opportunity for one to intern with those companies you mentioned?
Thank you very much, everybody, for the question. So to address or to respond to the first question of self-doubt, I think it has to do with self-esteem. Like I said, because we are not aware that women can be able to do everything. So when we're growing up, a woman or a girl will always be asked to play with a Barbie doll, or will be encouraged to do things in the kitchen with her mom, because that's our culture. That's how we grew up. And a boy will be asked to go out to go and play football, and stuff like that. So right from start, this usually stems from the grassroots, and it starts not when you are an adult, but while you are growing up, and is reinforced by religion, culture, and all that. So it doesn't help. It doesn't give us the room to grow up for you to permeate to the level that you have that self confidence that you could be able to do anything. And I believe that this is changing compared to, for instance, our generation. Our kids wouldn't grow the way that we grow, which I am very happy. So for you to be able to fight that self-doubt, you need to understand what passion is it that you have, and how you could be able to channel those energies that you have into that passion. And you need to firstly also understand that there is nothing that would hinder you as a woman, as a woman or as a girl, from not participating in anything that you find a man doing. What a man can do, we can also do it. And so for me, when I went to the class and I saw that there were a lot of women, and I didn't know what coding was, I didn't know what IT was. I was just compelled because there wasn't any other course for me to do but IT. That really gave me a lot of confidence. The fact that we're just few women in the class, I'm like, okay, so what's the big deal? What's the big deal? What is it that we cannot do? So you need to be able to tell yourself, yes, that I can do it. You need to build that confidence and have a very high self-esteem for yourself. Then the second question was talking about internship, if I'm right, from those organizations. Is it those organizations that I talked about? Or maybe those programs that I talked about? If it's the program, we do not have access to organizations. We can help facilitate with some letters and stuff. But when it comes to our programs, you can look into our website at nida.gov.ng, or you can visit our handle. We usually advertise it on our handles. We have two subsidiary offices. One is the National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics, that handles anything prototyping of AI and emerging technologies. And the other one is the Office for Nigerian Digital Innovation, which handles the creating of an enabling environment for startups to thrive in the country. So a lot of our programs are mostly posted on our handles, and you could also find it on the website. Sorry, can I have the third question? It seems like I missed the question, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to get okay. Opportunities. Okay, someone says opportunities that are put in place to benefit women for being on the front line. Okay, okay, the person is only commending you. I can't find the third question now. Okay. Majority of the questions are more like how do I get through this imposter syndrome, not feeling the strength to do what they desire to do in the male dominated environment. So it's more of the same question you have answered earlier. Yes, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate everything you've shared with us. Like, this is just the tip of the iceberg, because there are so many things packed together in these few minutes that if we explore, we will do quite a lot as an individual, before us collectively, as women in Africa that desiring change as much as possible. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the all that you shared with us, and much more that we're going to learn. Because right now, from this meeting, we're going to be following you back to back, learning from the steps you're taking, and what Nigeria has in stock for us. Then, so people that are joining us from outside Nigeria will be learning gradually to adopt the same process in also into their own environment. So thank you so much and have a wonderful time for the rest of the evening.